I welcome you all, basketball degenerates, to another episode of the Pass First, Shoot Later podcast brought to you by the OC Basketball League. I am your host, Zico Pepic, here with my co-host, Michael Van Wyck. Omar Almadine is still out for the count. No internet reception. We can't get him live at all. It's been a mess with him, unfortunately. But Mike is here. What's up,
All
Mike?
right, what's going on, guys? We've had good replacements. We got a good replacement today.
We got fellow OCBL big man, Kevin Thomas, here with us today. Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
Good to be here with you guys. Should be fun.
We got like the Jesus vibes going with Kevin right now, bro. Like you look like literally like Jesus running there in the background. I know you're having
Looks
some
like
lighting issues, but
looks like it. Start talking, so it goes on you. But you look like you're out of a
Yeah,
newspaper right now. You got no color.
yeah.
Black
I
and white.
look a little bit black and white almost. It's kind of funny. It's good that I cut my hair. Also, looked like I'd be up there.
There you go.
yeah, Kevin usually does have long hair, so it would have been perfect had it would have been long right now.
So what are we getting into today?
Today we are going to talk about, well, since we have a really good big man in the group with us today, we're going to talk about NBA big men and the best big men in the league this season at the very least, not all time. I know that gets a little
Redundant.
sensitive for Mike when we start talking
It doesn't
all
mean
time.
sensitive. It's
Mike
crazy.
gets
Especially
sensitive.
Big Ben. We'll be fine. That
No, you get sensitive whenever we talk all-time players. I mean, we could ask Kevin since he's here. Hey, Kevin, where is Kobe in terms of your top 10?
I've changed over the years with this. When I was a little bit younger, he'd be a lot lower. I'd have him fifth all time now, probably fifth, sixth. Could put him at fourth if he wants. Depends how much you like Magic Johnson. For me, I like big men and undeniable dominance. So I have this one's going to start a conversation in itself. I have Shaq third or fourth, Mike.
oh, that's great. I all for Shaq being high up.
Okay, great. Then it was Omar that doesn't really, or it's more about Kobe because, yeah, I look at that three-peat as more of a Shaq and Kobe as a second fiddle, whereas a lot of people look at it the other way around.
This is going to be great. We're off to a great start.
Well, I actually don't disagree with that, and I've told Mike this, especially for the first one. It was Shaq. That was his season. It was the most dominant season I think I've ever seen. I think we'll ever see. It's mentioned this before. If we rated most dominant seasons by a player, I think Shaq has the most dominant season all time. That first title he had with the Lakers is the epitome of dominance. Jordan can't touch that season. Will, I don't think, can touch that season. So when it comes to that, I agree 100%. The second season, it was still mostly Shaq because Kobe was still growing. But that third season is where I had the issue. And
He definitely slowed down toward the end of the second one to the
exactly.
third one. Sorry, go ahead, Zico.
Shaq just slowed down, and it wasn't a knock on Shaq. It was just that
That's true.
Shaq aged and Kobe was maturing. And if you look at the next title that Shaq won, Shaq was aging even more, and Dwayne Wade stepped into the picture and was the MVP. And so that was my whole issue. And I don't think Shaq would have won without Kobe. So that's my only situation that Mike
Did
seems to
win
disagree
without
with.
Kobe.
I
He
kind of
didn't.
disagree because he did it 3 years later with Dwayne Wade anyway.
Right, but he wouldn't have had Dwayne Wade on the Lakers. He needed the third best shooting guard all
Okay.
to be able to do it. So again, we had this conversation. I don't know if you watched that episode, but
No, I didn't. I'll just say I think he could have done it with someone lesser than Kobe, but that's if you guys already talked about it, then
okay. So this was the trade, Kevin. The trade that almost happened was Kobe getting traded for Jason Kidd. Is Jason Kidd and Shaq gonna beat Tim Duncan and the Spurs at that time?
the way you asked me, no.
Okay.
Because Jason Kidd at that point doesn't shoot yet. He's a passing player. They'd have to have build the whole team differently. But just adding Jason Kidd for Kobe, no.
That was the trade. That was the best offer you were going to get.
If you gave him
But you
all
would
three
have
of the guys that were in New Jersey, then Kerry Kittles and Richard Jefferson, then maybe. But no, one for one, no.
because you got to get rid of Derek Fisher. So they would have built the team differently with Jason Kidd. They would have been just fine. But anyways, we're here to talk about big men. 'Cause I got Kobe
You're
at
excited
11.
about
We
this.
all know that. Yeah, big men are great. They just I mean, everyone who's listened or followed along, they've seen the top 10, they know. Um, most of what we have watched of NBA dominance is centered around inside out, and that's changing now. And a lot of these big men and the guys today are typically stretch fours, stretch fives. So you got a lot more shooting big men. And I'm sure all of the guys, most of the guys on this list are going to be in that category. I don't think there's anyone like a Shaq anymore or a Tim Duncan who's just going to go on the block or 15 feet and in and just get you bucket after bucket. Most of the big men today, they can shoot from the outside. Some of them like to dribble a little more than they should, and you'll see that. We'll go through not a set list, but kind of just different aspects of different big men. But no, there's nobody in today's game like Shaq or Duncan or even Garnett. Garnett was starting that transition where he started stepping out further and further. But yeah, I think you can still build teams around dominant big men. Look at Denver. Look at Philly when Embiid was healthy. We'll go through it before I just list off everybody. But yeah,
Kevin, I want to ask: let's ask it like this: who is your favorite big man of the past, and then who would you say is probably your favorite big man in today's NBA?
I mean, of the past it's easy. I'm gonna be redundant, but it's Shaq because it was right when I grew up. I'll be 30 years old soon, so I was 7 or 8 years old watching Shaq dunk on 4 people at the same time. So if I had to pick, that's my lame answer. If I had to pick a more advanced answer, it'd be Amari Stoudemire from the 7 Seconds or Less Suns. Kind of a similar thing, but just came out the pick and roll and dunked on 3 people every time. So I really like that. If you want more of a post game, give me LaMarcus Aldridge. He had 2 moves and he scored 25 points a game for 15 years. So
LaMarcus Aldridge is actually an interesting conversation. He was actually very fundamentally sound. He could shoot the ball. He was just one of those guys that was not quite as good as those top big men like Garnett, Duncan, Dirk. Couldn't really, hang with them. However, he was probably in that B category right below them. And I think had he played
yeah,
today, he'd be dominating. Just because he was probably in the wrong era.
yeah.
uh,
8 years too. I don't
man,
know. He's an even better
dominating
McDyess if you
today.
move him back 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know if he's
Compare his
dominant
game.
today.
Compare his game to Porzingis.
I I think they're different. I
I,
wouldn't compare
They're
them to
very similar
Porzingis.
players.
I think it's an okay comparison if you gave him if he was born 15 years later so that he's more mobile and not as set in his, turn
So
off
I'm
the right
saying
shoulder, right hand fade away. If he's developed 20 years later, it makes sense.
he's slower. He doesn't handle the ball as well. He's not as long.
As
He's not as tall.
Porzingis,
Yeah.
Porzingis is slow, man. Have you been watching the Celtics games?
He
He
can
is
handle he can
killing the
handle the
paint right
ball
now.
though.
He's
I
just
think
killing
the
the paint.
Aldridge is more a product of the too big era because he was kind of toward the end of it. But yeah,
Aldridge is very good. I no bad things to say about him, so don't take this the wrong way. But he's a poor man's Pau Gasol.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Still a little different to me than Powell. I think he was a guy who would step out and shoot a lot more than Powell did. So um, I want to pull up some LaMarcus Aldridge
Just
stat.
because just because he did do it doesn't mean he would do it better. Gasol could shoot.
Right, but the difference was LaMarcus Aldridge would shoot threes. He was a 32% three-point shooter at that era where big men weren't shooting threes as much as they are now. So for his career, 32% free three-point shooting, he had averaged 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists a game off of 49% field goal percentage overall. Um, he had a 20.7 per. He was a good player, Mike. I think.
I said that. I completely agree. I said I have
Yeah.
nothing bad to say about LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he was caught up on a lot of teams that he just wasn't the perfect fit for to get over the top.
Well, that's what I mean.
Aldridge was good,
I
but
think he just didn't fit that NBA because I think that he's really more of a five in today's NBA and would have excelled with it. And back then he was playing four, and I think he was just a little too slow to play that four. I think Porzingis, the same thing happened with him. I don't think Porzingis was a four. They were playing him at the four when he was in New York and in
yeah.
Dallas, and he can't keep up with 4 men of today.
What did you say? What did you say his 3-point percentage was?
32%.
Yeah, so
32%.
Gasol
It's
was
pretty
30,
skewed to the last
Gasol
couple
was
of years.
36.8% on his career.
Yeah, but
For
he
their
didn't shoot
careers,
the
Lamar
volume.
Gasol averaged more. Powell had more rebounds and assists,
Yeah,
but Powell also played longer, so that's skewed in a different way.
right. So, and then also he shot more 3-pointers than Powell did. He shot
How many 3-pointers did he shoot in his career?
Really? That's interesting.
He had one season where he was averaging three-point shots a game.
What was his total?
He was shooting over three shots a game.
What
So
was his total career 3-point shots?
let me see.
Question.
3-point
Old
attempts.
basketball reference.
He made 210 and shot 700, 227 and shot 710.
Okay, so Gasol made 179, shot 486, and there was one season, his 2 seasons when he was with the Spurs, 16 and 17 and 17 and 18, where he shot over 100 threes in the season. And the first one, he was 53.8%, and the second one, he was 35.8%.
No, it's because Pop just shoved him in the corner and didn't want him ever.
Yeah, so I'm saying he developed and extended his career.
Right. But my whole thing is I think that like when people say, "Oh, this guy can't play in this era, this guy can't play that in that era," I think they're wrong. These
Oh, I
guys,
completely agree. These
you
guys
know,
they're professional basketball
right? They
players.
would
They
have
can
worked
adjust.
on that.
Yeah.
Like I think
100% agree.
the only guy I feel like I could say like probably I don't think Shaq would have shot threes. Yeah, like I just even if he was in today's era, like I just don't see him doing that because he's such like a purist in the post. Like Hakeem would have. Hakeem did. Hakeem shot threes every once in a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
like
Shaq
Duncan would have hit him consistently, I think, had he worked on it. So
Shaq would
Yeah, I
fall
agree.
under the category of if it's not broke, don't fix it. I
exactly.
mean, you look at
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert's in today's NBA, and he does not shoot a three.
He doesn't shoot
Shaq,
layups either.
no, I mean Shaq would have continued to do the same thing that he probably would have done it better now than he did then because defenses have to change. There's more rules that keep them from camping in the key. He wouldn't get quadruple teamed as easy. And I mean, for Gobert now, the easiest way to take him out of the game is put him on a stretch 4, stretch 5, and then he's out of the key. Shaq was much more athletic than Gobert, so he wouldn't have been and I mean, it sucks to say this, but Gobert in the playoffs is a defensive liability. His teams adjust and they say, okay, we're going to bring him out to the perimeter. Shaq, when he was in Orlando, could guard a big on the perimeter. I mean, I would take Shaq against Kristaps right now, not right now, but in Shaq's Orlando days. In his Orlando days, he would have easily been able to stay with him and guard him. Shaq transitioned to a heavier, slower player because he didn't want to get pushed around. So he became that type of player that he was with the Lakers, which was different than how he played in Orlando, which goes to they're professional basketball players. They get paid to play. So it doesn't matter what era they're in, they would adjust and pick up whatever they needed to do to continue to dominate. So, I mean, I'm not comparing Shaq to anybody in today's NBA because I don't think there's anybody in today's NBA that would guard Shaq.
That's actually something else that's interesting when you think about it. Like Jokic is probably the best big man in the NBA right now. We also have Embiid, which we could throw in there.
Joker's better.
I know, like I just think they're
on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're both like what I was getting to is they're both like two of the bigger bodied guys in the league right now. Like, I don't think people realize like how tiny they'd be next to Shaq if they were matched up against him in the post, trying to guard him. It's kind of fun when you think about that. I think a lot of these younger guys don't get like how big Shaq was. Like Jokic is like just massive next to some of these guys. I think Shaq would be like twice as big as him if they were facing each
He was
other.
pushing 400 pounds for the last Lakers championship. He was 375 and up or something insane like that at 7'1.5". So
Right.
Embiid's what? Embiid's 285, something like that.
3-4 years from now, when
280.
Wemby starts putting on some weight with his length, maybe he'd be able to, give Shaq some problems just because of his length.
No,
Because even if he's under the basket, he can get his arms up and out there. But
There
the
was a
way
lot of
Shaq,
guys
well,
going to be
that's
side.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But the way he moved people and the way he used his body and how quick he could spin, I don't think there's anybody. Because even I mean, and Shaq said it, the hardest person for him to score on was Yao Ming. And Yao Ming was much bigger than Wemby is. But again, Wemby's going to put on some weight. He'll probably get stronger, but he doesn't need to get up to a size to guard Shaq. So I don't think he'll ever get to that situation. I don't think he'll allow himself to get that big because that's not how the NBA is played today. So I just don't see guys that would be able to stay in front of Shaq. And even if they were as big, they wouldn't be able to keep up with him. There's no person again that I would compare Shaq to in the league right now. It's just a different game.
Yeah.
So
confirm.
we're gonna have some obstacles to get through when we do this, when we talk about this list, just because like the big men of today are so much different than what the big men were like back in the day. We don't necessarily have very many true centers. I mean, if we talk about it, we look at it, I guess Gobert might be the only one that we could say is playing that role, the official role of center, the way that it has always been played, just from the defensive aspect. I mean, kind of like what Mutombo did back in the day. The way Jokic is handling the ball, bringing it up, and do all these things, you're really changing what centers used to do, and so it's kind of hard to decide who's a center, who's a power forward in that aspect. We're gonna have to refer this as a top big men type
Yeah,
of
there's a lot of positionless basketball for sure. Because you
right.
look at Minnesota with Gobert, before Gobert got there, Cat
Count.
was playing center, and now he's playing power forward because Gobert's there. But they're both big men, right?
Right.
But yeah, I'd agree. I think the next closest player to playing a traditional center role would be Brook Lopez, but he's shooting threes too. So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's just plow through the list. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna look through each of the teams, go through their centers, their big men that they have, what would represent the big man in today's NBA, whether it's power forward or center, we'll go through that. Because I think we talk about Duncan, we talk about Hakeem. Technically, those guys are power forwards. They just played centers a lot during their time periods, just because they were the bigger guy on their team, and that's how the team adjusted. So
I lied. I think there's two more people that are playing that traditional center role. I don't think Jared Allen's getting much out on the perimeter and shooting. And
Mr. Rob, the Knicks,
and
same thing,
well, and Bam Adebayo.
right? Although Bam handles the ball a lot, Mike, he brings it up. He gets the
Yeah,
rebound.
he's true.
So
That's true. That's true.
okay, so
Bam could
let's
do it all. I think he could do just about anything on the court. But let's go to your list.
Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he could play point guard for a team if they needed him to. If you gave him 10 games to figure it out, I think he could have 8 assists a game. I don't think he'd score as much. I don't think he'd go 25 or whatever he's averaging and 10 rebounds and 8 assists. But I don't
He's
know.
averaging 19.8 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, and 4 assists already. So
Yeah, I think he could get, if they let him, if they ran some more offense through him, I think that could be 7 or 8, which would be really impressive. I think he could do everything.
I'm a big Bam fan, so I like guys like that, the versatility. Those guys are actually really fun to play with. Kevin, I know you like doing that. You like getting the ball, getting it going, running up the court, looking to kick it up to your teammates. Sometimes for a guard, especially, who likes to outlet, especially when I was younger, I loved having that big man. Mike knew this too. I loved having that big man who get the ball, go, bring it up so that we could get a quick basket. So seeing guys with that versatility is always fun to play with. I will note that. So I'm pretty sure everyone would love to play with someone like Bam or Jokic who have that capability.
all right, so let's start today's big men.
Let's start with Jokic.
We're not going to go in order, right? We're just going to
No.
kind of
I mean, we'll
talk
start
through
with Jokic because he is number one. He's the best big man into
them.
this.
I don't think anybody would argue that if we're going even by a what have you done for me lately. I mean, he checks all the boxes. Right now, he's averaging 26 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth best defensive rating in the league. He does everything, back-to-back MVPs, probably the front runner for this year's MVP. I think his team actually fell to second place recently, but like
Yes,
a half a game or something, right? So I mean, they're going to end the season probably in first in the West. That wouldn't shock me. Again, he'll probably win his third in a row, which joins, I think, what, 3, 4 people in NBA history. I know there's a lot of people out there that'll say he doesn't deserve it, and blah, 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 but if you watch him play, it's not flash. It's just get it done. It's fundamental basketball. He does the right things. His shot can be ugly at times, but it goes in. So I think there's a lot of people looking and saying, "Oh, he's not the guy." But he is. He does everything, and I don't think not only is he the best big man, he's probably the best player in the NBA right now.
I'd agree.
So you got to start the list with him.
Yeah, man, he's an offense on himself. He walks you into a double team and a 4-on-3 on the backside, and it's an automatic bucket if he has the ball. And I'm not even looking at plus minus when he's on and he's off. It feels like a 20-point difference when he's playing. There's no matchup. I've yet to see anybody. People say Anthony Davis guards him well. A couple other people. I've seen him struggle for a quarter or two. There's nothing that really stops him. The teams have to build towards stopping what he can create. So yeah, he's the best player in the league.
There's only one player that I've actually seen bother him, and he's not in the league right now. We've had this conversation, Mike. I still can't believe that nobody will sign Dwight. I know he's kind of past his prime, but go back and look at what Dwight did to Jokic the year that the Lakers won that last title.
That's
Because
a really good point.
he's the only guy that I've seen. Number one, if you wrote Mike, you're a defensive type player. Kevin, you like playing defense as well. If you were to make a game plan on how to stop Jokic and what type of player you need to do that, you're going to need someone who's physically capable, someone who's athletically fast enough, long enough, and is willing to make that commitment that that is his goal for that game to do something like that. What Dwight did that series was the best I've seen anyone guard Jokic. So
They barely played him the
Other than
next series. That was basically the end of his playoff run. He won them his part of the title there. There's a couple clips about that, but he barely played in the finals, but he got him there.
yeah,
sure.
sure.
Yeah, if you had to build something, he'd have to be at least
That's
6'10". He'd have to be, if not heavier, he'd have to be for sure stronger than him, and he'd have to be more agile, which the more agile is not that hard, but to have somebody that agile at 280, 290 like Jokic, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Bam's the closest thing.
Give me Dennis Rodman.
Well, yeah, I said today's NBA, Mike. I'm not
Yeah,
talking
I know.
before. There's a lot of guys back then that would have been able to guard him. I just don't think that there's guys today that can guard him. The only guy I think that could is Dwight, and Bam would come close, but Bam doesn't have the weight to push back.
Yeah, you know what I think it is more than
It's
weight.
mental too. You have to understand what he's doing. Like he can be
It's
stronger than him, faster than him, and he's still going to figure something out.
it's more on the mental. People today and players today don't want to play defense like that. Nobody buys into just defense, right? There's a couple guys left that are on the tail, Patrick Beverly, and it's more of an antics thing. There's nobody who's just, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to go in. I'm going to make my mark on this end and take whatever I can get on the other end. There's nobody really doing that. No one has that mindset anymore. It's, okay, you're going to score 50. Okay, I'll score 51. And you see that more and more with these guards going back and forth. Like, what was it the other day? Who dropped 60 points and lost?
Jalen Brunson.
And lost because what's his name?
SGA.
Had 40 something.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about
Wemby had a 40-20 and Brunson had 61, and they lost.
It's
lost the next game as well, and that's why OKC is one half a game higher in the seeding because SGA hit a game winner to win the game. So
it's just everything is so focused on offense now. I mean, Rudy Gobert, right? He has the best defensive rating in the NBA right now at 104.4 points. 104.4 points in any era pre-2010, you're winning 82 games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy the way the game's played today. It's much more offensive focused. So I think that's part of the problem too. You see less double teams because they don't want to commit to that. They just want to get the ball and go. Or if you commit to, they don't commit all the way to a double team, or people don't rotate because there's so much further to rotate from, right? Obviously, Denver's built well. They find they're willing passers, but if you're trying to beat somebody like Jokic and game plan for him, let somebody else beat you. Let Michael Porter Jr. have 70 for 4 games in a playoff series. You're not going to win by doing what Denver wants you to do, right? But I think that's the biggest problem with stopping Joker or guarding anybody in general these days is nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. I think that's the biggest issue, and some of that we talked about this before goes on to AAU basketball, where they've kind of fallen away from forcing star players to play defense. You know, every AAU program is worried that the star player will leave, so they just tell them focus on offense. I'll make someone else play defense, and it kind of fell into the NBA. And I think that's that offensive explosion that you're seeing today. Unfortunately, people aren't as focused on defense. Individual players are not focused on defense. They're teams that commit to it. You know, Minnesota is committed to it. The Knicks have committed to it. And if you look, they're holding teams to at least a respectable amount of points every game. But it's stuff like that it makes it kind of makes you question, like, is Jokic as good as he is because he's a product of this era? I think he is still as good as he is. Even if he was playing another era, he probably wouldn't have the stats that he's putting up right now, but he'd still be really, really good. And if he was playing in a different era, his numbers would probably be reflective of that era and still be really good for a center, still probably be one of the top centers in the league. So
Yeah, I mean, he still passes the ball well. He still rebounds. It's not like that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I'll give Joker is any era you put him in. He's not sitting here winning because of athleticism. He's using his brain, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to translate to any era. You box out properly, you get a rebound. That's what he's doing. He's not sitting here jumping over the back of people like Blake Griffin dunking on people. That's not what he's doing.
If you
So
move him back 15 years, he's like a Dirk Manu hybrid with the passing and with the ability to score on people. It'd be really interesting.
it'll never happen, obviously. I'm sure AI or something will get us close to where you can drop people in and it'll play them against other players or something in the future. And you're like, well, what would he do in the 50s? But I think putting a lot of people in different eras and watching them play and seeing how they adapt or what they would do differently. I don't think Joker's doing anything differently.
Yeah.
I want to point a stat out really quick. There are 5 players in the NBA that are averaging 20, 9, and 5. So 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 minimum. Embiid is 1, Jokic is 1, Julius Randle's 1, Alperen Sengun is 1, and DeMontis
yeah.
the other.
Victor Wemby
Is he averaging?
He's got 21 points, 10 rebounds.
5 assists?
I mean,
He's not averaging.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the 5. Yeah, he's at 3.6 assists. Yep.
I kind of wanted to point
His
something
teammates
out
suck.
specifically about Jokic. Of that group, Jokic is averaging 9 assists a game. It's crazy to think a center is putting up 9. There are point guards right now that are averaging like 6. Starting point guards in the league, they're averaging 6.
SGA,
Yeah,
he's only got 6.
but is he the starting? I still don't like him and Giddy are just so weird. It's like hard to figure out who the point guard is.
Hey, you saw that off topic that IG I sent to you, right?
Which one? Today?
He's just now, well, not just now, like an
I
hour
don't think
ago.
I did. I don't think I did yet. I sent you too, but I didn't look at them.
Sorry, Kevin, you're not in that group. Maybe Zico will read it out loud.
Oh, I
It's-
can't. The post is unavailable.
Oh,
What was
geez.
it?
They probably
It's bad.
it
What is it?
said
The Giddy post? Is it
yeah,
good? Is it
yeah,
okay?
it said Josh Giddey is officially changing his name to Josh Diddy.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, first that, him changing his name to that, LeBron's getting house getting raided as well. I mean, all kinds of stuff is going on.
Crazy world. And we're just here making jokes
Yeah,
for our, what are we at, 96 followers?
there you go.
Yeah, Kevin, did you follow us yet? Be honest.
On what? On YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. He's gonna go do it right now.
Welcome,
Everyone else do it while he's doing it. Look,
welcome,
he's
welcome to the show, Kev.
yeah. If it says 99 and you're number 100, you can unfollow real quick.
No, don't unfollow. Mike needs to wear that Kobe jersey. Okay, so we mentioned
Now we're at 97. There you go.
appreciate that. One step closer. All right, so we talked about Jokic. Let's talk about Embiid a little bit. I know he's been hurt for a lot of this season. It's been a huge blow to his team.
He's a lot of every season Embiid's hurt. So
Unfortunately, yes, but he was having a monster season before he got hurt.
That's too bad. Yeah, yeah. He was playing as the best player in the league when he was healthy. Still would say Jokic, as we said earlier, but he was playing as or portraying himself as, dude, 35 and change, 11 and a half and 6 with a steal and probably 2 blocks. I can't see it right now. But not the most efficient in the world. He's got a real high usage, but he takes up control of both sides of the floor. Like, you got to put all the focus on him, and it makes it a lot easier for his teammates to score. Too bad Tobias Harris is his teammate, or else they would win more games. But
so
yeah, man.
Embiid's always going to get a knock from my perspective, and we've talked about this kind of with other people. If you can't stay healthy, if you can't be there for your team, it's kind of rough to put you in a best players category.
It's been my view on Anthony Davis until the last
recently.
2 years.
But here you go, running through Embiid's career since he got drafted in 2014 at age 20. Ready? Didn't play the whole season. 31 games, 63 games, 64 games, 51, 51, 68, 66, and 34. That it's just, if you're not available, I mean, the most
Kind of reminds me of
played.
someone. Kind of reminds me of someone who used to do stuff like that back in the day.
Get hurt and miss games.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You can't guess. And we had this conversation.
There's many guesses. You could say it about Shaq. You could say it about LeBron. You could say, well, it's different. The Shaq's is different. They asked him to get surgery right after the finals. He said no.
They asked him to, or he chose not to. He waited.
No. He chose to defer. I was getting there. They tried to tell him what he was going to do with his body, and he chose to defer. That's we're not doing that. That's a whole 20-minute conversation. I'm ready and armed to defend Shaq.
I like poking at Mike just a little bit.
Okay, Shaq. Here, we'll just go Shaq. 81 games, 79 games, 54, 51, 60, 49,
51,
79, 74, 68, 68, 68,
Wait,
73.
I'm looking at the games. You're saying them wrong. I'm looking at the games. Did you 81?
I'm looking at the same.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm sorry. I was looking at games started. My apologies.
Yeah, exactly. See, so you're just making up stuff.
No.
It's okay. I'm not gonna. We've been through them. I'm not comparing Embiid to Shaq.
67, 59, 40, 33, 28. Like, he had seasons like that too.
But you're at the tail end of his career.
His whole heat.
He had it earlier in his career. He had 54, 51, 60, 49. Like, he had multiple seasons where that was happening with the Lakers. Like, his first season with Lakers, he had played 51. Then the second season,
he had 2 fully healthy seasons with the Lakers, and neither of them was 82 games, it was 79 and 74. The 2 of the 3 years they won.
He was there when he needed to be, and he was healthy, and when Finals MVP got him 3 rings. And ain't bringing rings to anybody. So
right. Well,
not there when it matters.
Mike, I mean, if Embiid had a partner with the caliber of Kobe, he might win a title. He's not going to.
Oh, if he had Kobe, he would have won 3 already, but he would have needed to be healthy the whole time, and he's not.
So that's the difference, is what I was talking about with those Laker teams and how important Kobe was to those titles, which Mike chooses to.
Nobody said he's not important to those titles. Listen, you can't describe somebody as Robin, the Batman.
Shaq carried him, and he did not.
He absolutely did.
No, he did.
But that doesn't mean he's not important.
In the first title, he absolutely did. I agree with you.
we can go through this every single time.
He did.
You can
But
have Batman and Robin. Batman
what
carries
just as a
Robin.
heads up, just
Robin's
as a heads up,
still
what I was
important.
actually going to get at with this is an issue I had with Shaq, and this is an issue I have with Embiid. And even to an extent, Jokic, however, the way Jokic plays, it's a little easier for him, so he's able to work around it. The weight. When you come in at that weight, you're going to have problems. Zion has the same problem. If you're going to come in overweight, especially at the start of the season, I get the mentality Shaq had, and I get Embiid's kind of following that as well. I don't think Zion's following that. I don't think he cares personally, but if you're going to come in overweight, you're going to have an injury early on. You're going to have issues later on, and it's going to take you longer to recover. I know that they want to be at towards the end of the season right in shape when they need to be, but it's kind of hard, like looking at that when you
Zico, you've got to be tired to put Joker in the same category there
no
from
no
his
no. Well,
80, 73, 75, 80, 73,
Mike, I
72,
just said
74.
Joker takes care of it better because the way he plays won't affect him. The fact that Shaq and Embiid bang as much as they do, they bang way more than Jokic does. Jokic
Easy,
looks to
easy,
go
easy.
around. Well, okay, Mike.
Omar's not here. Take it easy.
I know. Well, you get what I'm saying though. Like
Yes.
the style that they play, it's more conducive to players getting hurt. Is all I'm.
Yeah, that's been around. I mean, who I think it was actually Kobe who started getting showing people, because even towards the end of his career, he started to focus more on cardio and staying trimmed and slimmed down and as a guard. And I think a lot more people saw that because Kobe did a lot of great things. He did a lot of good things for the NBA. He led the way for a lot of people to do things. But I think you see a lot more people as they go through their career, they're like, okay, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I can't gain the weight and start losing it through the season. I got to stay off of it. I think the one person who's doing that backwards, and it
LeBron.
hasn't hit him yet, and it's going to, is James Harden.
Oh, LeBron too.
That
LeBron's
Le,
bigger now than he was back then. It's crazy.
yeah, but you listen, for every rule, there's an exception, and he's that exception because
Right.
the
Agreed.
guy is 40. I saw a stat that he's played in the NBA for more years than he hasn't in his life.
Right.
So I mean, anything that guy does, it's different. So I'm not gonna. You want to attribute it to PEDs or steroids or whatever you want, that's fine.
Agreed.
But whatever he does, whatever he's doing is working. So
I'm being sarcastic right now, but LeBron's like the only guy that I could say that as he got older gained weight and did not have a
well,
real.
he's had injuries. He's had injuries. He's had more injuries in
Yeah, but I mean,
his
he's also
career.
he didn't. I don't think he had a major injury until he was 37, which
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like that's crazy to go that long and not have any injury.
There's a lot of people who John Stockton never had a major injury. You see
No,
what I'm
but
saying?
Mike, I mean, like again, the with the weight, like you just said, Kobe was the guy who said like, "Hey, when I hit 30, it was like time to lose weight." He went and lost like 20 pounds, stayed trim. LeBron's the only guy that I saw like after 30 gained weight to get more physical to play the power forward position more and not get hurt. He went like a good 7 years playing power forward, not getting hurt. That's actually amazing to
Yeah.
me.
Bad comparison, but Rudy Gay did it and he got hurt basically right away. He put on 20, 30 pounds, play power forward with the Spurs, and he flew out his Achilles or his knee or whatever. So it's not easy.
No, it's not. But yeah.
Okay, next I want to talk about Chet and Wemby. They're the young guys on this list. We talked about them a lot this season. I want to put them together because they're both technically in their rookie season. And I kind of think that you can't really talk about one without the other at this
I
point.
can.
I know you can, but they're the up and comers. In fact, you know what? I'm even gonna throw
Don't
Sengun.
ruin it.
Sengun. I'm gonna put Sengun in this conversation.
Okay.
Different type of player, but I'm not mad at it.
Different kind
Yeah,
of.
I get it. That's fine.
I
That's
don't think
fine.
they're
You
top
want to?
players. I don't think they're top players yet, but I know they're going to be.
No, Victor's a top player in the NBA already.
Oh no, but yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. It's either top 10 or top 15, but
Already with
it's
what he's doing with the
yeah.
teammates around him. He's playing less than 30 minutes a game. He's averaging over
Yeah.
21 points, over 10 rebounds, over 3 assists, over 3 blocks.
How much
He's
of
been
that is
he's
it?
been he's
How
been
much of that is
basically
it that he
6 blocks for
has
a
a bad
month
team?
now too. That's the crazy part. It's been 5 or 6 blocks a game for a month now.
I think he does that despite his bad team, not because of.
Mike, but
Despite.
like, look, I get what you're saying, but sometimes if you go put Victor on a really good team right now, he's not averaging those numbers.
Oh, see, I think he
I
is.
think he
I
is.
don't think
I
he
think he
is.
is.
I don't think
I
he
think
is.
he
He's not
averages.
gonna have
I
the
think he
ball.
averages more assists and
I
more assists to 1 more point, and probably actually less rebounds if he has a better team around him. Maybe like 9, 8.8. Give him 22 points, 5 assists, less
I
blocks.
completely agree.
I
Completely
did.
100%
I
agree.
think you could. I think. Oh man. Yeah, I'm stealing the headline from the TV. Somebody said this the other day, but it's true. This is gonna be the worst season he's gonna play in the league unless he blows his knee out or something. Like that's wild.
Yeah,
And the
I
averages might not go up next year, but his ability to play and his ability to handle the NBA will go up.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that if he was playing on like so there's an aspect of winning and putting up numbers, and I still think that he's going to be a winner who will put up numbers. I just think in his rookie season, if he was playing on a better team, he wouldn't be averaging what he's averaging right now.
Would the
Like
yeah,
Timberwolves be better
this
if you switch him and Gobert?
100%.
100%, like that's a different situation, but he's not averaging those numbers because now he's playing next to Cat and he's playing next to
He still got those numbers.
no, he wouldn't, Mike. Like that's what I'm trying to tell you. Go look at how the way this, how many Spurs games have you been watching lately? They're funneling everything to him because they have multiple. Devin Vassell's out for the year.
But
So is out for the year.
they
They're
want to funnel
funneling
things to him,
everything.
but but the players are so bad that they can't get it
Mike,
to him.
you don't get what I'm telling you though. Like if he's playing on the Minnesota Timberwolves, the ball is still going to Anthony Edwards first, and then to Victor Wembanyama after Cat got his, and
All
he's
right,
not.
then switch Cat and Wemby
Okay,
then.
but no, wait a minute.
Switch a healthy Cat and Wemby.
You're absolutely correct. It is going to Anthony Edwards first, and then it's going to Cat, and then it's going to Wemby. But guess what? When Wemby plays on the Spurs, there's 5 dudes defending him because the rest of those guys suck.
I didn't.
Imagine if they had to go defend Anthony Edwards and Carl
Yeah,
Anthony Towns.
it's the Jordan
I
Poole
didn't
thing.
disagree with
Everybody that
that.
leaves a good team,
I
like
didn't.
Jordan
I
Poole
didn't
leaves his
disagree with
bench role and he can't score now. It's. I
Yeah,
see this point.
it's opposite. Victor, if he went to a different team where there was anybody who could put the ball in the basket or needed to be focused on by the defense, he's just going to excel even more.
Yeah, like he's shooting under 50% for the
I
year.
don't think the there's enough ball to go around to make that work with the way you're referring to, Mike. That's all I'm saying. I think he'd still have a really good season. I think the team would be better if that was the case. I'm just saying that he wouldn't have the ball in his hands enough to get the 21 points, to get all the rebounds since he has better rebounding teammates around him. That's all I'm referring to. Like his numbers would be down a little bit being on a better team, and that's normal.
Yeah, but I don't think so. I don't
I
think
think
so.
him being the third option makes his life so much
Yeah,
easier. And it's not really,
I
it's a third option depending on the matchups too. Like it literally would depend who they play. Like maybe
How
his
did
third
that work
option
out?
against the
How did that
Nuggets.
work out for all of LeBron's teammates who were on different teams and were putting up
you're comparing
all-star
LeBron
numbers?
again to
Because no. I'm saying that when I said look at his teammates, I'm not comparing LeBron because LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands first. Okay,
okay.
so what did that do to Chris Bosh?
Okay, if
Why did his numbers
you're 100% right. If Victor Wembanyama went to the Lakers to play with LeBron, his numbers would go down. You're right. Outside of that, his numbers go up.
But Anthony Edwards has the ball in his hands for a majority of the game, Mike. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's going to be a similar situation. If he's playing, listen, if he's playing next to Trey Young, who's going to be coming down the court and lobbing or chucking a three, one of those two, I think his numbers would be exactly the same because he's a high assist level point guard, right? But if
Okay.
you're putting him next to a dominant perimeter player who's going to hold the ball, that's a completely different situation.
Okay, ready? Did Aaron Gordon have better
I think
numbers?
giving Ant the option to dunk or lob to Wemby would be insane.
Did Aaron Gordon have better numbers in Orlando or in Denver?
He has better numbers in Orlando, but that's because he's playing with Jokic
No,
as a pass first player.
he has better numbers in Denver.
I'm sorry, Denver. That's what I meant. He has
Yeah.
better because he's playing next to Jokic. Who's again, that you're comparing now. Like if you put Wemby next to Jokic, it's like you have the greatest big man duo of all time. Like it's not even close. But I'm talking about like if you put him next to Anthony Edwards.
Well, Tim Duncan, David Robinson might have.
Well, I think that Wemby
They
and
didn't play
he
together
probably
long enough.
does.
maybe they could, but
Personally, I think that they would probably pass them. But what I'm saying
Probably.
is like, you're comparing that versus Anthony Edwards, and I'm talking about style of play. It's different. Plus, Minnesota's tempo is slower.
yeah,
It's
but
a
you're
difference.
you're saying replace Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert's getting 14 points and 13 rebounds. So
And I
you
think
don't
that
you
Wemby
don't
could
think
probably
you
get
don't
it
think
I'm
from
Ro-
shocked how much he's getting paid. I'm so postseason focused.
you
It's
don't
just like I
think
said it
Wemby can
earlier,
get
he's so flimsy when it comes to the playoffs. It just
you don't
he
think
play a
Wemby can
top
get
six
7
team.
more points?
not in that offense. I don't. The way that team plays, I just don't think that he will. The way that team plays, they would have him play in the same role that Rudy's playing in right now.
Right, and he would be more effective and more efficient. Rudy Gobert literally has no offense. None.
I
Nothing.
understand that, but again, with the
The way
way
they
that
play
he
without
plays,
Cat, he'd be fine. With Cat, it'd be tough
that's
because
what I'm saying, Mike.
there's
Like
two guys doing the
guys
same
take
thing.
shots. Yeah, that's
Because
like
I saw them play the Clippers the other day without Cat, and there was room for somebody to score 20 something points. I think McDaniels had 28 that game, or
exactly. If it
Alexander
was
Walker did, or
Towns,
something like
yes.
that.
You
So
put
if
With
Towns
Cat,
in
it's a
the
different story. If you flip Cat and Wemby, it's a cool conversation because then Gobert just gets to stand at the rim and Wemby gets to do everything else.
so
So
if you switch Wemby and Chet, you don't think Wemby can do the same thing on a better team but more effective?
what are Chet's numbers?
Chet's numbers are almost identical.
16 something
Oh,
something.
actually, they're less.
He's got 5 less points,
5 less points. How many less rebounds?
2 less rebounds.
Okay.
Two
I
less
think that that's
rebounds
probably he'd probably be getting right about the exact same.
That's
and
crazy.
one
That's
less
crazy.
assist.
Mike, like again, like the SGA with the way he holds the ball, with the way the rest of that team chucks, like Chet should get more shot attempts. Look at their shot attempts. Look at Chet's and look at Wemby shot attempts.
Yeah, Chet's getting just under 12 and Victor's getting just 16.
It's 4 more shot attempts a game.
I get
That
it.
team, they don't give him the ball. Like that's what I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
but his team's multitude's better than the other guys.
But again, Wemby's shooting 16 shots where he's at least double teamed.
I know because they're forcing him to shoot, Mike. Like that's a
Because the
different.
rest of his team is trash. So imagine if he was unguarded.
I still don't think you get what I'm saying. Like with the way that the teams are playing offense today, he's not going to get the ball as much as all I'm referring to. Why were his numbers down in the beginning of the year? Because the team had they weren't hurt. Vassell was playing. Vassell was the best player on the team to start, best offensive player on the team to start because they were funneling the ball through him. Sohan was playing point guard and not passing it to Wemby every single time the way they're doing right now. They're trying to boost Wemby's numbers to develop him further. It's a different situation. That's all I'm saying. I'm not bashing him. I just don't.
I know. I disagree with you. I think he could go to another team and be even more successful.
Depends which team you're talking about. But the example,
Yeah, I think it kind of caps itself if you get to the top 6 teams because those teams are so good already. But you throw him on 22, 23 other teams, he averages the same, if not better stats. If you put him on a worse team, he does better. Yeah, there's a couple teams he doesn't do better on, but it's a crazy conversation. He's in my top 15 already. It's nuts. But
I'm a huge Wemby fan. Like I love the kid. I think he's going to be the best player in the NBA, the face of the league within 2 years. He's going to be the complete face of the league. And
I hope he gets Defensive Player of the Year this year.
I don't think he's going to get it, Mike.
He's close.
I don't think they're going to. I just don't because the way
He's not going to give it to Gobert again, though.
I think you have to, man. Minnesota's defense is.
uh,
Have you watched a single Minnesota game yet this season? I asked you to.
No, no.
I
no.
have. I saw him in person. They played
Yeah.
really. Actually, Gobert got hurt. I can't say too much about him. That was the day he got up in the chest by Zubac, and he was out for the rest of the game.
Okay, well
Soft.
that team's defense is elite. It is old school defense. I love it. Like I've mentioned this to you. Like Minnesota and the New York Knicks defense is the most old school defense I've seen in today's NBA. Like it's the most fun defense to watch when they have all their players. It's
Right.
it's
So it's a buy-in. It's a buy-in by the whole team. So I'm not giving it to
Yeah,
Gobert individually.
I can vouch for the defense. Kawhi came out of that game in the first quarter and their second quarter, and by half it was like a 20-point game. Clippers were up 18, and by midway through the fourth, it was a 15-point game. The Timberwolves were up. They went like this for 10 minutes, and it was a 40-point flip. When they turn it on, it's pretty scary.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Watch them play a game, Mike. It won't kill you. I
But that all
promise.
goes away when we
I'll
get to the second round of the playoffs. So
I'll watch him. I'll watch him in the
Gobert
playoffs.
can't hold up
Exactly.
against a top 10 center. It doesn't work. Like,
Thank you. That's you shouldn't get it. I'm
which
gonna
this has
go
been my
watch him in the
opinion for 4 or
playoffs.
5 years. The Clippers were terrible in that one year, and we still beat them because he couldn't run in circles fast enough and chase Terrence Mann. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Gobert. He's an incredible defender, but they're also paying him $40 million a year to make sure they lose in the third round. So
I'm so glad you brought Kevin on. I completely agree.
I
I'll
don't
watch Gobert play
I
in the
don't
playoffs, and he's
disagree.
trash.
I don't disagree with you guys. My only thing is, and like I've said this, Kevin, I've said this in other episodes, with so many players getting hurt nowadays, and I don't think the Denver's going to go back to back. I stated this. I just don't think they're going to go back to back. I think as we get close to the playoffs, they're going to have some injury issues. They're going to have some depth issues that they didn't have last season. I don't think they're going to go back to back. If Denver's not in it in the West, to me, it's wide open. I can't pick one team to say they're going to win if Denver doesn't. They're going to the finals if Denver doesn't. And I think Minnesota has a legitimate chance if Denver gets knocked out to get there.
Yeah,
Is it so bad for me to think? Like
yep. It's
Jamal Murray gets hurt and they
then
don't
the
win.
Clippers go.
yeah,
Then it's the Clippers.
Clippers are the other team.
semi off
Clippers are
topic.
the
The
other-
Thunder and Timberwolves played a series. Who do you guys think wins?
The Thunder are too
Everyone-
young. The Thunder get out of the first round, maybe because they play.
I think it's Clippers or Minnesota. If Denver doesn't get there, I think it's Clippers or Minnesota. That's
I love my Clippers, but it's
and I
not
just think
us.
it's the Clippers. Oh, it's definitely the Clippers.
I think it's the
You think
Clippers.
so?
I
Oh,
think it's
100%. If it's not Denver, it's the Clippers. It's not Minnesota because Gobert cannot go out on the perimeter and continue to do what he does in the regular season when people don't adjust.
Well, we're getting
Uh,
close to the playoffs, so we're going to see how.
What's more likely to happen? Gobert play bad in a series, or James Harden not show up? Because
It's that's
those
true.
things
It's
are
the
those things
Clippers.
are equal.
More likely the
It
Clippers
takes
will get hurt. You're right.
it takes one back tweak from Kawhi Leonard, and that's the series.
That's a really good point. Actually, I agree with
Yeah.
that. See, this is what I mentioned, Mike. Like, this is the whole.
But given healthy, I like Mike's point a lot. And believe it or not, I don't believe in my team at all, mostly because of James Harden. But yeah, the Thunder are too young. Shea's great, but it's just they're gonna run out of steam. I don't believe in Gobert, similar to Mike. Yeah, but it is the Clippers, man. Holy crap! If I look at the standings, it's not the Mavs. Zion's like 18 months away. If he's healthy at the end of next year, they might be the 3 seed, but that requires him to be healthy and not fat. It's not the Suns. It's yeah. Oh wow, man, we might be the
the other thing, Mike,
second
is
best playoff team in the West. Oh crap. Okay.
yeah. I think you guys are. I think it's. I think the order right now is Denver, Minnesota. I mean, Denver, the Clippers, and Minnesota. Those are three that I think. One of those three is getting out of the West. I don't think it's going to be Denver, so I think it'll be Clippers or Minnesota. I hesitate with the Clippers just because, again, Kawhi gets hurt, just like Jamal Murray does. It could be, like you said, one back tweak and it's over for them. And it's the Clippers. Like, there's always that. Like, there's been other seasons where, like, damn, I think they're going to go to the finals. This might be the season. Well, I always have that doubt because of like all the stuff we've seen them do over and over again. So, like, because of that doubt, I have to hesitate a second. But Mike, I
Los
actually have,
Angeles Cripples.
yeah, yeah. I got to ask you guys this. There's a really good possibility we have Lakers versus Denver in the first round of the playoffs. Do you think there's any chance whatsoever LeBron just kind of
No.
Mike,
Okay, so
kind of tough.
No, and
So-
I think LeBron's number one, man, but no, not with what he's got around him.
Okay, so
No.
we kind of talked about this in one of the episodes where I said that the Lakers got swept last year because they ran all of their gas against the Warriors. The Warriors ran them ragged.
Yeah.
Now, if they play the Nuggets and the Nuggets are the number 1 seed, it'll be the same thing. They will be too tired because they'll have to gone through the Warriors and the Suns or the Kings. Yeah, or the Suns and the Kings for a second game. So they will be exhausted.
I think
And it
there's
will
a
be the
break.
same thing. Now, I don't think there is a little break. I don't think they'll get swept because they will have something left in the tank. But getting out of the play-in, I don't see them having enough because, like Kevin said, LeBron can do it. His teammates can't.
Yeah, Jokic would have to have a really, really bad game for it to even go 6. It's a 5-game series if they played. And
I think,
like
yeah, I think
who
if the
who's
Lakers
who's
would have,
helping on this team? Who's helping? Gabe Vincent doesn't play anymore. Torian Prince is
But
Torian Prince, Austin Reeves, like
Dinwiddie's
AD
been a disappointment.
Dinwiddie, ever since he converted his contract into crypto, he's been a little bit weird. Rui, I like Rui a
I
lot,
like Rui a
but
lot, actually. Rui's the guy
Jackson
that
Hayes
probably have
Jackson Hayes wasn't good 4 years ago, and now he's still playing. Um, I really wish Cam Reddish was good, but I can't pretend he is.
I've only
So
But I will say,
I think he could score 20 points a game in the NBA, but he'd have to be on the worst team in the league. That's how it would have to
the
happen.
Wizards.
and Zico might fight me the most on this. If the Lakers get to the 8th seed and the Thunder are the 1 seed, I think the Lakers can win that series.
I agree with you, Mike.
I'm
Okay,
not mad at that.
that's
I'm not mad at that either. I think that's LeBron against a young team. A 39-year-old
exactly.
LeBron against a young team can manufacture his way to a game 6 where he can make anything happen. I agree with
And
that.
and
It's
I
not so
think
much the young team though. Like
AD's still good enough to beat the Thunder. It's the Chet, the young Chet. I still think Rui's good enough to play against the young Chet if they put him there. I think Austin Reeves can do enough against their other players. I think Russell might have a good enough game if they just say, okay, don't guard Shea, just, go score. I think there's enough matchups there that they can beat a young team. But after that, any of those other teams, except for the Pelicans, they're getting smashed.
my whole thing with OKC, and I love the OKC Thunder. I think that they're a year away from like legitimately competing.
Yeah.
And the reason I think they're a year away is because they have the structure, they have the management system put in place to be really good. My only thing is that they have a severe hole on their roster, and that is physical size. And I think whatever team they face is going to absolutely manhandle them in the post. I think that the Lakers would just pound the paint relentlessly. LeBron has an open lane, whether Chet's there or not. If Chet comes to help and you have AD there, I just feel like they're just too physical for any of those players. And the same thing would go like I think Jokic would eat them alive in the playoffs. I think even
Yeah,
Minnesota would
if
eat
it
them
was
alive in the playoffs.
if it was close at all, Thunder and Lakers hypothetically, as that series slowed down games 3, 4, 5, 6, LeBron would just bring the game to a halt and be like, "We're doing this now." And at the end of
I
that,
think
you're like, "Oh, LeBron won again." So it does.
Honestly,
Yeah,
looking at it, I think the play-in series, I think whoever comes out of the play-in series is going to beat the Thunder.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I think it,
Maybe the Warriors have the toughest route, but the Kings and the Suns, I think they can beat the Thunder too.
yeah, I actually agree with
yeah.
you.
I think the Kings can. I'm lower on the Warriors and the Suns than you guys.
I'm lower on the Suns too.
Lower on the Suns than the rest of those guys. But
I
Yeah.
actually think that the Suns,
Draymond Green could come and kick somebody and change the whole series. I mean, Pachulia did that that's how they got their first ring.
it barely worked when he kicked Steven Adams in the nuts. But
that's different. That's a wall. That's a wall.
Yeah,
The
it's
whole
that.
NBA agrees. That's a wall.
But I mean, call up Zaja. He can teach Draymond how to,
that's what the NBA
stick
is
his
missing
foot
this
under
year.
people's ankles.
That's what the NBA is missing this year. A good team is missing a healthy Steven Adams. That's what we're all missing here. Because isn't he hurt for the rest of the year?
Yeah,
He's
I
on the
like
Rockets
Steven
roster
Adams.
right now. I like him too. He's on the Rockets roster right now, and he'll be there for next year. And I think they brought him in there to kind of help Sengun, especially in practice, develop, which I think is a great decision. I think Sengun's
Yeah.
going to be a player. We'll talk about him soon too. But let's move on. We were just talking about the Thunder. Chet's on this list. Chet's one of those guys who's going to be one of the better big men in the NBA. His numbers are already starting to get close to there, just like Wemby's. He's one of the younger guys there. But where do you guys see him as a big man right now? Like, is he top 10 in the big men list for this season?
If we're talking big men the way we have been right now and saying it's pretty much anybody who's tall playing maybe the center power forward position, uh, yeah. I mean, I would have him in there. Maybe
Yeah.
not yet. He's
I
still
would need
has
to
room
see
to
the name
develop.
of list
Yeah, I
or the
mean,
list of
there's
names.
still There's still some other guys who need to be in there before him.
He's
Okay.
got a top 10. He's got a top 10 impact to his team. I don't know if he's a top 10 player.
Okay,
You
so
know,
I
Top
looking
10
at,
big man,
I'm
top
put him
10
in that.
big man impact.
I'll put him in the top 10. I could argue him into the top 10 with
Okay.
who I see and what we're doing. Yeah,
Jokic and Embiid 1 and 2. Do you guys disagree with that?
No.
we're saying Embiid's healthy, so yeah, I agree with that. Okay.
Okay. 3 is the interesting one, because I think Giannis might fall into this category. He is starting to get older.
I'm not putting Giannis in this category. He plays
Yeah,
way too
I
differently
agree.
because
I
I
was
wouldn't
about to
put
say
Kevin Durant in this either.
I wouldn't either. I'd check him out.
Yep,
Because
no Giannis.
he's playing a lot of 5 man.
No Giannis.
Okay, we'll leave
Doesn't
Giannis.
matter.
Okay, then 3 gets interesting because I think maybe Bam and Sabonis. Bam, Sabonis, Randall,
Wemby.
Porzingis is kind of like where you start looking.
I'm the same with Porzingis. He's not a center to me. I know he's 7'3" and plays the 5, but stats.
Wemby's there too.
Wemby's in there. I think Bam. I think a lot. It's gonna sound weird saying it, but I think a lot of people underrate how good Bam is.
Yeah.
Just because of the team he plays in and the culture he plays in. That's not a selfish team. He's not out there to get numbers. I think they all kind of do their part to win. I know that doesn't really show up in the regular season as much, but I think consistently people see that in the playoffs. I think you'll see it in the playoffs again this year, although I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think the Celtics have a cakewalk in the East. But Bam is, I definitely a top 5, probably that number 3, like you said.
I misspoke. I forgot to mention Anthony Davis in this.
I see. Anthony Davis is top 10. He's not top 5.
Uh,
Agreed.
You know what though, Mike? So if we're gonna talk about Bam the way we talk about Bam, which I love Bam. However, if you look at Anthony Davis's numbers right now, they are this season in particular. He's been healthy. He's doing the things that we're asking him to do. He's averaging 25 points a game, 13 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.2 steals, 2.4 blocks. Bam can't touch that.
So I'll tell you my problem with Anthony Davis and with averages in general is Anthony Davis is averaging, we'll say 25 points a game, right? That's because one game he'll have 50 and the next game he'll have 0. And he will do that. He is not a 25 points a night consistent player. He has violent swings. He has that with rebounding. He has that with every statistical number. So yes, while he is healthy and he is playing a very good season, it's not a consistent season. You can't say AD is going to go get you 25 and 13 a night because he's not. He's going to go get you 50 and 26 and then 0 and 0. I mean, obviously not that big, but that's my problem with AD.
I agree with you. Bam is in the exact same boat this season. If you've watched Bam, games, he has been extremely consistent. He does go guard the other best big man in every single game. However, he's been consistent due to that. He did go through some injuries this season. The Miami Heat have a 41-33 record. The Lakers have a 42-33 record. I think the West is a little better than the East right now. So I'm impressed with 33 record of the Lakers than I am with the Miami Heat's 41-33 record.
They've both had a pretty good March, actually.
I agree with what you're saying.
Consistent scoring.
I agree with what you're saying, but I'll take it to the next step. Is AD is asked to be a 25 and 13 player. He is asked to be a leader day in and day out. Bam is not. No, yes, Bam. No. Jimmy Butler is the leader on that team. Bam is not asked to. Bam is not asked to score. Bam is not asked to be there.
LeBron.
He's their second best player.
39 years old.
He's their de facto second best player.
He's still the second best player. They're both the second best player on their team, even if LeBron's 39 years old.
When the playoffs come,
he's right in that AD is asked to do more. AD is definitely asked to do more.
I don't agree with that, just because the way that the Miami Heat play, their entire defense is focused around Bam. Like they put perimeter pressure on every team. Bam can step out and guard players, and then he's the one everything's funneled towards him. The same way AD's everybody tries to funnel towards AD. On top of that,
Bam defense is not a track stat.
They're,
No,
the
Mike,
Heat's
the
defense
Heat,
over the last
remember,
couple of years though has been the Heat's defense until this year was a lot better the last couple of
right.
years. So
The,
it
the
made Bam's life
perimeter,
easier. So this year it's kind of hard to compare versus the other years because he didn't have to do as much on defense. They had really good wings and they just got rid of them all because they all
right.
signed other contracts.
So he's being asked to do more because of that.
That's fair.
Uh,
Uh,
both,
not,
both
I don't know. I think they're kind of this sounds a little bit lazy. I think they'll kind of take what they'll get from Bam scoring wise. He does happen to average
averaging
20
about
because
20
he's
points a
so good
game.
at no, no,
So
no. That's I agree. Here's yeah.
Okay.
Overall, it might be more. There's more expected of Anthony Davis and like.
Bam shooting 15 shots a game, Anthony Davis shooting 17 shots a game.
Okay, I
Okay,
think
I
another
think
part of
Anthony
the
Davis
problem.
is expected to be a top 8 to 12 player in the league. I don't think the Heat or anyone else expects that from Bam. And
That's yes, that's the
I
other
guess
side.
that's my
Does
point
That's why I
there
said
that
it's
does
because
that put Bam ahead of him on a list of top big men? That's my question, and I don't think it does.
I'd rather have Bam, but that's because he's 26 and AD's 31 or something like
I
that.
agree with that.
Um, I'd rather
I,
have Bam.
it might be okay.
Do I get 2 straight years of healthy Anthony Davis? Then maybe it's swayed. But we've seen a year and a half out of 11 be healthy, so I just can't pick Anthony Davis there.
Hey, I'll tell you the problem. Bam overachieves, AD underachieves for expectations on where people think he is. So that's probably what sways it more than anything. So maybe it's an unfair critique of AD, but AD does not get where he should be, in my opinion, whereas Bam gets above and beyond where I would expect him to be.
I agree with
I
you on every other season aside from this season because I know he's been a little chaotic. They both have. They both have. And Embiid has been hurt for most of the season. We're still putting Embiid at 2. I simply think that because of way AD is playing this particular season, we're talking about this season, I think he's ahead of Bam. I think he's number 3. But if you guys want to put 3 and 4 matched, I wouldn't argue that. I don't think Bam's ahead of him right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument. I'm taking Wemby over both of them.
Yeah, I fall out of love with Anthony Davis because he gets a bit Westbrooky when it gets tough. He had a really good March, but if you look at the 26th, that game against the Bucks, he scores 35 points, grabs 23 rebounds, but it takes him 31 shots to do so. I can't rock with that. And that's how it gets when it gets tough for him. I'm gonna take Bam there. I'm not gonna put Wemby in there yet, just because his team's so bad. And I know we're talking about single players. I'd
I
go
mean,
Bam.
so since just before the All-Star break and after the All-Star break, AD has been great, right? In the month of
Yeah,
March,
basically.
and he's been in February, he was great, right? So in February, he averaged 25 and 13. His low rebounds was 6 against New Orleans. He had 20 points that game. But if you go back into January, he was 24 and 11. But again, he's got nights where he's got 5 rebounds, 6 rebounds. You can't have a 13 and 5 night against the Phoenix Suns and lose by 20
Bam
points.
has had those games as well. Like, go look at the beginning of this year that he did not have a good season year to start this season. Like, that's my only issue. It's like if
No,
I get what
AD's been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
The play on him until he got
this
healthy again was
but the
how
problem
often
is you're
he would
not going to have
play well but
41
play
and
bad.
20. Bam's not going to have 41 and 21 night. He's not going to go show you that he's going to be
why
this,
he should be the third one on this list because
which is why you want consistency. In my opinion, I want you to be,
to play there, Mike.
huh?
Capability has to come into play there. Like, we know Wemby can do that. AD can do that. I don't know if Bam can do that, which is why I wouldn't put Bam at number 3 ahead of him.
And that's why I would, because I'm not ranking you on what you potentially can do. I'm ranking in what I can expect from you, and can you reach those expectations? If somebody goes out there and shows me that they can score 40 and 20 and then follow that up with 30 and 10 and then go back and get 25 and 15 and stay in those numbers consistently, and they can go do that, great, you're up there.
I'm
But
gonna put that as a poll, asking players what they think.
I,
AD, Bam.
I would rather have consistency. And the problem with your poll is you live in an LA based area. Everyone's always going to vote in the LA based area. You already know this.
Well, I also know that a lot of LA-based area fans are angry at AD all the time because they expect more from him. So I don't think they'll be as easy on him as you think they will. So you got to
Yeah,
keep
I think we all have Anthony Davis trauma because he was hurt for so long that even
all
when he played well, we
literally.
just can't buy into it.
I agree with
I know I'm guilty because I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. It's been a good year and a half, but like year after year after year, and I loved him all the way out of college and everything.
yeah.
I'm still I like guys that can do everything. I don't think Anthony Davis could do everything anymore. I don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna. I
Let's
don't think
leave
he
him
could.
at 3-4. That 3-4 spot will be left open. I know maybe Mike says he's outside of top five
yeah. Adebayo had a bad game against the Pacers. He had 7 points and 4 rebounds, but he only played 12 minutes and they blew him out.
because the coach pulled him because he's playing like shit.
He had 7 points and 4 rebounds in a quarter.
Okay.
That's on pace for 28 and 16. I wouldn't say that's playing like shit.
Imagine like the back anchor of your defense not doing enough to help stop that kind of a team.
They won the game.
Okay.
They were
Well,
playing the
maybe he
Blazers.
got
He could
hurt.
have not. He could
No,
have
the
not played and they
Pacers. They
still would have
played the
won.
Pacers.
Maybe he got hurt that game, actually. You never know. He might have.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
All right, let's move forward. Number 5 spot. I'm okay with putting Wemby there.
Yeah.
You
If
have
the
to put
3-4
Wemby
is
there.
between the other two, then it has to be. I would even like. I'm okay with a 1B fourth 85. I really am.
Me too.
The only
I'm
reason I
not.
wouldn't do
To
is
me,
just
Bam, it matters how smart Bam is too to me because Bam, you can plug him into any of these top 6 teams right now, and he makes every single team better. Every single one of them. I don't know if they get more, a lot of those teams get more interesting with those other two guys, but they don't get better.
with Bam or Wemby, you said. I'm sorry, I didn't.
With Bam, those teams get better. Wemby doesn't, I don't know if Wemby makes the best team in the league better. I don't know if he makes the Nuggets better. If you replace somebody else with, and you take Jokic out, you put Wemby in, they don't get better.
That's
You
crazy.
replace. You think they get better with Wemby?
No, I'm saying that's crazy. I mean, there's nobody in the league you're replacing Joker with that makes Denver better.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But like with I don't know. You add Bam to a lot of teams, they get instantly better. It's kind of hard to find one.
Okay, 6. Let's move on to 6th best big man. Are you guys sure you guys don't want to put Giannis on the list? Because I feel like you have to keep Giannis as a big man. I don't think
No.
he's better.
We might need to once I hear
He's
some of these
shooting
names. We're
shooting
gonna find
less
out.
threes. He's shooting less threes than any of these guys on the list.
Not putting him in there.
All right, Mike. I won't fight you on it if you don't want to. I think Giannis is a big man, but that's fine.
Giannis is a big man, but he's not an NBA big man. Are you putting LeBron in there?
Today's NBA, I mean, you can.
Yeah, exactly. You can because it's
can.
positionless basketball, but I'm not gonna.
Okay, well, I mean, so where are you gonna put let's see, Evan Mobley, Julius Randle, Sabonis, Towns.
Sabonis,
Sabonis.
A lot of these.
Sabonis, I'll put on this list. Towns, I'll put on this list. You still got Gobert. You still got
I don't think even Mobley
This is
gets
what
on
we
this
talked
list.
about. We said we're not
Nurkic,
gonna
Jared Allen,
designate big men.
Sengun.
We said we're not gonna designate centers. We're gonna focus this as big men.
I know that's what I'm saying. You still have Carl Anthony Towns. You still have Gobert. You still have Sengun. You still have Nurkic.
That's
You
not what
still
I
have Jared Allen.
No, I asked you. I asked you, what are you going to do with guys like Randall, Zion?
Oh, Julius Randle and Zion, I would put on there.
Okay,
Ooh,
but
Zion.
put Julius
Zion's
Randle
playing
down, but
in.
not Giannis. That's
Zion, this is wild. Mike's not gonna like this. Zion and to me, Zion and Giannis, you kind of can't put them on for the same reasons. They're just not centers. I don't, and like they're
neither is
professional
Julius
battering
Randle.
rams. They're not centers.
Neither is Julius Randle. Neither, but that's what we talked about. We said we're gonna make this a big man list since its position is basketball. So like
Yeah,
we're like AD is not a center. AD is a power forward.
yeah. I just
Dan
wouldn't
is
put
a power
Giannis
forward.
or
He's not
Zion.
playing
I
center.
wouldn't put Giannis or Zion on this list, but I'll leave Zion because I don't want him enough. I'll be honest.
I feel like Zion and Randall are very similar in style. Only Randall can shoot better than Zion can. So
Okay, so if we're putting Zion and we're putting Randall and we're putting Giannis in there, then Giannis immediately goes to number 2.
That's why I was asking, because I feel like he would be.
Okay.
I
If
feel like he's,
Giannis, yeah.
agree with
If
them.
Giannis goes to second, yeah. It'd be Jokic and then Giannis, yeah. So
I
I
agree.
just scoot everybody down one.
So yeah, just exactly scoot everyone down one, put Giannis in there. Zico's happy now.
I mean, that's
No, I'm not
Julius
mad.
Julius Randle
That's
still
fine
hasn't
with
made the
me.
list, so I
Julius
don't think
Randle,
we have to
yeah, he's
change
gonna
any
end
of
up
the
being
order
on
yet.
the.
saying, like, if we're gonna put some of these guys, I don't know if we could leave him out. Like, that's what I was asking. Like,
Yeah,
if
no, okay. We
That's a good
we
point.
we got him in. We dropped him in.
That's a good point.
Giannis is number 2. Everyone else that we discussed besides Joker moves down a spot. And we haven't talked about Randall and Zion because they're not on the list yet.
yeah, I mean, the question is, do they still make the list?
Yeah, because I'd rather have both of those guys over Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, but
Maybe
my
not
question is
Scott.
now,
Maybe not Zion.
okay, so I mean, we still have Sabonis, which I'm gonna make a note of. Sabonis, we still have,
Is Zion in general, or is Zion in a playoff series? Because then we're probably taking Gobert. But if it's like a season of Zion, you're taking Zion.
I don't know, man. Zion misses a lot of games too. Like, that's like the issue.
I was gonna say assuming health. We just can't do that yet.
And
We
you know
can't
what?
assume health with him yet.
I'm taking Banchero before I take Zion.
I was gonna mention him too. So,
Okay,
And you
he's
still got
gotten
Miles. You got
64
Miles
games this
Turner.
year.
does Miles Turner make this list? Cause I like Miles Turner, but like, I don't know if he's like a top 10 center.
Are you?
I've liked him for a long time, and I feel like he's never come around.
I'm putting
He's kind
Aaron
of this.
Gordon.
On the list?
I'm just in the discussion. I'm
Yeah.
just
Because
trying to look
yeah,
through
Aaron Gordon. Oh, this is so bad. Aaron Gordon,
Porzingis, Brooke
100% that
Lopez,
player.
Right. So like, I guess the conversation now turns to Sabonis, Randall, Chet, Porzingis, Banchero, and Zion.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson Jr. That's it. That's a good.
Sabonis is probably next for
You
me.
know who unfortunately is not on the list now? Draymond Green.
Yeah. He's not.
He's just not there anymore.
He's
It's
on the
been a
all
few,
idiot team now. It's all good.
it's been a few years since he's been on this list.
Well, take it easy. He's still been a defensive
It's
guy
been
for a
a few
little
years since
while.
he's on this list, Mike.
He's been defensive about himself. Yeah, that's what you mean by defensive. He's like, I didn't do it. I swear.
Oh, man.
Okay. So yeah, we have Wemby at 6 now since we dropped everybody down one. We have 4 slots left, and again, we have Chet, Sabonis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Randall, Zion, Banchero, and Aaron Gordon.
Sabonis. This is the first name that comes to my head. Let me make sure I'm not.
Yes, I think Sabonis has to be there.
I
He's
think
just
he's
19,
under 20
19,
points.
20, 14, and 8.
Yeah,
Jeez.
exactly.
And
it's
we'll give him
close.
a steal. We'll give him a steal, and it's not quite a block a game, but it's close.
If
Yeah.
you got to, if you're rounding everything up, you got to give him the block per game. But I
8
mean,
assists.
just on the 19, 13, and 8 is it's got to
Sabonis.
be in there.
19, 13, 8, 1 and 1 and 1,
Those
or
are better
2014,
than
8 and a
AD
half,
numbers.
1 and 1. Oh man, and what's their
Yeah.
record?
We got Sabonis, and now we have Chet, Banchero, Randall, Aaron Gordon, and Jaren Jackson for the last 3 spots.
Wait, we didn't put Gobert in there yet.
We did not. You just said
No, we don't need
I
to
don't.
yet.
I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, I'm just making sure.
So Sabonis is 6. Did we move on, or are we staying? We're talking about that one still.
Bonus is 7.
Sorry. Okay.
We have Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, AD, Bam, Wemby, and Sabonis so far.
Did we decide on AD versus Bam? Did I got outruled there?
I just put them at the.
Got it.
He gave him 6A and 6B or 5A,
5A and 5
Okay.
whatever. Yeah.
or
So
whatever.
Sabonis at 7. Yeah.
Let's see. Nurkic. I can't get Nurkic in there.
Get you in there again. Like, I think it's Jaren Jackson Jr., Randall, Chet, Banchero, Zion, or Aaron Gordon.
What about Jared Allen?
Jaren Allen is really good.
Yeah. 16 and 10 on a team that's not really looking for him.
Jaren Jackson's 22 points a game, but 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a block and a half, and a steal.
We also didn't talk about Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if you guys want to put him in there as well.
I was just
hurt.
looking at him and Julius Randle. And I think if you're going to put Cat in there, you have to put Julius Randle first. I think Julius Randle just, and this is me going back to style of play. I think the grit and toughness of Julius Randle for me is preferred over Carl Anthony Towns and kind of just running his
Yeah.
mouth and then getting blitzed. It's just, yeah, you got to accomplish something first. Julius Randle goes out there, he plays, he lets his game do the talking. Carl Anthony Towns is out there running his mouth and he gets beat consistently when it comes time to win, right? And not that Randle has proven anything in the playoffs, but he's got better numbers and he just seems tougher. So
I don't like watching either of them play, to be honest.
you're
But
gonna make
Randall would
Zico
be the
mad.
better option. Randall, I like Randall more than I like Cat.
I don't like watching Cat play either. I love watching it Carl Anthony, Anthony Edwards play. So like I've watched a lot of Cat. I personally feel like that team would probably be a lot better if it was Julius Randle on that team instead of Cat. They're already really good. I just think that they'd probably be better.
With
Uh,
their rough and tumble that they're trying to portray, I like that a lot. That'd be a cool fit.
yeah, so like that's like my only issue. Like I feel like the Timberwolves aren't winning because of Cat. I think they're winning because of Anthony Edwards and Gobert, more so than Towns. So like that's my only issue with Towns. I feel like he's the most easily replaced in that group. Like you could put Sabonis or Randall or Bam in that spot, and like the
I was
team.
about to say Bam on the Timberwolves would be nuts.
So like that's my only issue. But like again,
That's somewhere he would average 25 points a game if you replaced him with Cat. He would go crazy.
Is
so
Banchero on the list?
he's one of the guys that we're still talking about. So we have
Do you
Jokic
want are you counting him as a big man though?
Yes.
in today's NBA, yeah, because he plays like Randall does. He's
That's true.
going to
I
be.
wanted him to be a small forward in the NBA. He's just not a small
I
forward. It's a good
I think
point.
he's going to be as physical as Randall is down the line. Like Randall got really physical as he got older. He developed like that man strength. I think Banchero is going to have
Yeah.
that too when
He's
Banchero is
six, yeah,
developing.
he's
I think Julius
6'10",
Randle
250.
I think Julius Randle kind of had to though, because he broke his leg in half like 2 games into his career.
He was
If you look at
super
him in college, it was a whole lot of spin moves and floaters and fadeaways and stuff, and it became all this push people and dunk and push people and layup kind of stuff. He plays a
Banchero,
lot like DJ Burns. He plays a lot like the kid from South Carolina, dude. He plays a lot like DJ Burns. Obviously, he's a way better version of it, but
All
yeah,
right.
Banchero's 6'10", 250. I got Banchero on the list before Cat.
not mad at that.
Chet, Banchero, Jaren Jackson Jr., Aaron Gordon, or Towns.
And Sengun. Where's Sengun at?
Oh, dude, forgot about Sengun. Sengun's really. I love Sengun. I'm a
I
big.
love watching him play. As soon as they drafted him, I was like, "Yep,
And if we got
I'm
no,
gonna like this
we have to
guy."
redo the list. If we've got Giannis and we're talking about Zion and then Kevin Durant's got to go on the list.
No, you can't. He's not a big man. He's not a big man, Mike. He doesn't post up. He's not that type of a player. I like if I'm gonna think
He played
They were messing around. I'm not
he
gonna lie.
played center. He played center in Golden State with
No,
their
he didn't.
small ball lineup.
I know, but he didn't look the way the Golden
That's
State
not a
played. They didn't
center.
play him in center.
That's the best team ever, putting 5 people out because they can.
Not the
That's
best.
different.
That's not the best team ever.
Who
That's not
is
the best team
Yo?
ever.
Yes.
The Bulls.
It's that Bulls team would have destroyed that team. Man.
Absolutely, completely agree with Zico on this one.
Yeah, that Bulls team, and then honestly, like the Kobe Shaq 2000.
Kobe Shaq team's got a better chance to beat him than that Bulls team does.
Are you out of your mind? Do you know
Nope.
how good that Bulls team was?
That Bulls defense would
Yeah,
have.
I do. I do. They were really, really, really good, and I've watched those games a million times.
Tony
Um,
Kukoc would lock up Kevin Durant.
Okay, we're not doing this. I'm
Kevin,
Eastern European.
Kevin,
I
listen,
don't agree with you.
Kevin,
I don't agree with you at all.
Here's one thing.
I'm about as good as Tony Kukoc was. Don't do that.
Oh, you are.
Oh, that's crazy.
He's one of the best European players to ever
No,
play.
Tony Kukoc
Guys,
is so
guys,
good.
guys.
And they had Scottie Pippen, who probably would have been the guy guarding Durant if it wasn't Dennis Rodman. But Dennis Rodman most likely would have been
Dennis
on
Rodman.
Steph Curry, chasing him around, pissing him off. Dude, they would have torched
Here's
that
what I'd
Warriors
say.
team. We're not getting into this.
That Bulls team would have defensively locked them up, and then the Kobe Shaq Lakers team, like they just couldn't stop them offensively. There's nothing the Warriors could do to stop that team. You cannot stop Shaq.
I'm
And
not
then you
gonna agree with you guys, but we can move on.
all right.
Yeah, we can move on. Let's
All right, so
round out this.
where do we have Sengun?
Lakers team
I
has
think
a way
Sengun's
better
on the-
chance.
Let's
That's
round out this
crazy.
list with Banchero and Sengun and call it a day.
All right. So who's ahead though? Sengun or Banchero?
Oh, Banchero's ahead of
Sengun.
Sengun. No, Banchero's ahead of Sengun.
What the heck? No, dude.
Because because of the standings and how they play. Yes.
I will only agree with you because of the standings right now, but I think that those two guys are going to be probably eye level throughout their careers. Different positions, obviously, but I think they're going to be the best player on their teams for the next 10 years. So
It's a good possibility, but Banchero's probably has a chance to win a couple of playoff games, and Sengun probably has a chance to get courtside tickets to one of them.
I don't agree with that, Mike. I think Sengun's going to be the kind of player that's going to lead his team into the
No,
playoffs.
I'm talking about this season.
Right. This season,
Yeah.
that's fine. But Sengun's hurt anyway. He's done for the season.
Okay, but that's what we're talking about this season. So that's why I don't know how Embiid got on this list to begin with, but I wasn't going to argue
we said
Embiid
we
because
said
I did say
assuming
healthy.
health.
We said assuming healthy. Exactly.
He
Yeah,
might
well
be back
then
next year.
for me it's Sengun. I just like him better. It's personal preference. I'm not gonna argue with you guys on that one.
And
I like
and
Sengun better.
and that yeah, that could be. That's the same thing where I was talking about Randall versus Cat.
Yeah.
It's what you'd rather watch. I think Banchero is more fun to watch. If I want to watch Sengun, I'll just watch the better version of him and Joker.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this since we got our 10. We have Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, AD, Bam, Wemby, Sabonis, Randall, Banchero, and Sengun. Who's the biggest snub?
The biggest snub is going to be Cat.
Yeah. Healthy cat.
I mean, the snub is kind of a difficult one to talk about. You're going to talk about Cat because his team is probably top seed. You're going to talk about Zion because there's the potential that could be that just isn't.
Gobert's proven himself and actually won awards. So I mean, you got Gobert there. That's a snub.
Exactly.
I think Ivica Zubac really got snubbed here.
I mean, if
Porzingis is on the
people
best team in the league right now too.
if
So
people were having this conversation 2 years ago, people would have been going crazy over DeAndre Ayton not being on this list.
I would never have put him on this list.
I agree. I
No,
wouldn't have 2 years ago either, but other people would have.
Well, you could say 3 years ago with James Wiseman. Let's not go too far backwards.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's tons of guys. Brooke Lopez didn't get talked about, and he's not top 10, but
Nobody was 2.5 2 years ago. He was, or a year
that's
ago.
what I'm saying. It was
When they
defensive
won,
player
he
of the
was one of the
year.
best. When he won, he was statistically one of the best centers in the league. He was crazy effective that year.
Completely agree with you, and that's why years change things. I mean, Porzingis at the end of this year, he could be a champion. He could be an NBA champion, right?
Yeah.
But
that was my snub personally because Porzingis is on the best team in the league right now, and to me, he's the guy that I kind of hesitate with because his team is doing so good. So it's kind of hard to leave him off.
yeah, my problem with Porzingis in this list, and we're talking about big men, is he averages less than 7 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
So we're talking about big men going in and getting it done. And that's why I didn't argue Kevin Durant. That was more of an April Fool's joke. The guy's not in there, he's not getting rebounds. He's not doing traditional big men things, right? You look at the list that we have. Embiid's got over 11 rebounds, Giannis over 11 rebounds, Joker over 12, AD over 12. Banchero's probably the lowest on that list with 7. Wemby over 10, Sengun the other lowest at 9, Sabonis almost 14. So I mean, that's Porzingis should get more rebounds, but
There's too much variance for me with Porzingis. This is awful, but when he's bad, he's a 7-2 Bogdanovic. When he's good, he's really, really, really good, man. But when he's meh, like if you just look at these stats alone, like I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but just 20 points and not a lot else is think like you said, he's on the best team in the league, so that helps. But that pushed him down my list for sure.
yeah, and that's I'm not going to argue that because that's the same thing I said about AD. It's like we've seen you can do more. You can do more. You should do it consistently, but you don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. Did he make the list?
He did not.
No, but it's the
Yeah.
same kind of case for Jaren Jackson Jr. It's 22 points, and I, your center can't average less than 6 rebounds to me.
Exactly. You
You
got to
just have to
go in there.
stand there.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is also in a situation where his team is kind of tanking this season.
Yeah, absolutely. But his rebound averages haven't like if you look at his last, it's 5.6 this year, barely under 7 last year, under 6 the 2 years before that, and under 5 the 2 years before that. Like one of those years he's out basically the whole season, but
Some of that does have to do with the way these teams are playing defense and the way they're funneling towards the big men. If you look, the big men are asked to contest shots. And
Mhm.
what ends up happening is the missed shot goes to the opposite side of the rim, and then one of those forwards gets that rebound, whether it's
Yeah.
Tatum, Brown, or even one of the guards like Drew Holiday. So like some of that ends up being, with the way like this kind of is happening with Julius Randle right now. Like he used to average a lot more rebounds. He was a double double
Yeah.
for his career, but his rebounds went down just because the Knicks are forcing him to guard on the perimeter. So now it's
Yeah,
Isaiah.
the other teams are pulling Jaren Jackson specifically, not as much Randall because of Jaren Jackson's defensive capabilities. They pull him away from the rim on switches and stuff
Right,
almost on
exactly.
purpose.
So
And not as much for yes for the first opportunity, but almost as much for the second shot attempt too, because then he's 18 feet out. Yeah, that's a good yeah.
And that's
so
why
That's
Wemby's amazing because he's got almost 4 blocks and almost 11 rebounds.
yeah,
dude, it's basically 6 blocks this month. I said this earlier, but it's
yeah,
it's
it's that's actually something like I really really like about Wemby and Chet is the fact that they're able to like cover so much ground. Whether they if they get the switch, they're diving so quickly to get the rebound on that same play. Like there's a lot of guys like Porzingis can't do that. He's not capable of dropping that foot and getting to the basket fast enough to get the rebound after contesting on the perimeter. Uh,
yeah,
In fact, like
Well,
I don't think AD is capable of doing it either, and
not anymore,
he
no.
should. Bam is probably the only other guy that could say does it.
and that's
I
why
want to see an official stat for Wemby at some point. How many shots, how many times he's convinced guys not to go to the basket along with his blocks. Like I would really love to see an actual tangible stat with that. Like
oh
he's actually deferred. He deferred 24 shot attempts, but he had 9 blocks. Like I
there's
want to see
a
what that looks like.
there's a Instagram video or a YouTube video of just all these people that drive in, see him, and turn away.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It was the 4-on-1 fast break where somebody, yeah, two guys turned on a layup and they got like a corner three that they almost airball out of it. And it's just,
Dude, that's hard. Actually, there's the one right now where Jalen Brunson hits a shot over him in that game, and
Mhm.
like you could see Jalen, like Jalen's a little guy, he's a little bit taller than me, and you could see he arced the hell out of it. He Derek Fishered the shot just to get
Is it
it
the
over.
little midi? Is it the
Wemby's,
little midi where he goes like step back to his right a
yeah,
little bit?
and
Yeah,
Wemby's still like right there, like
yeah,
Wemby's
he
like
got it
right.
off
So
by
like
this
yeah,
much, but the
for
thing goes 15 feet in the
for
air.
any little guard, like having him in the paint is just like like him and Gobert too, but like Wemby's even longer and more agile. So the guy's gonna be a terror for sure. It's gonna be fun to watch him grow up. I'm excited for him big time. Anything you guys want to add before we end this episode?
Do
Yeah,
we want to talk about that Lakers Bulls take we just had?
everybody go in the comments and let us know who we snubbed, and also let Kevin know that the Bulls team would absolutely destroy that Warriors team.
Ah, man. Which defensive rules are we playing? The rules from the Bulls era or the rules from now? Because if it's the rules from now, they're gonna struggle. If it's the rules from back then, the Bulls have a better chance because
I don't think
I
they'll
don't
struggle
care.
for one
are you
specific.
allowed to double team people? Because half of that Bulls team couldn't dribble. So like after the guards, you just double team everybody.
This is the craziest thing I've
What are
heard.
you talking
I'm
about?
not
Like,
I'm not dissing
does.
Dennis Rodman. I'm not at all. Dennis Rodman is one of the
Right,
best
but
defensive
Dennis
players
Rodman
ever.
doesn't have to. He
Always
got
on
the
But
the
rebound.
team.
He got the
he
rebound
outlet.
outlet. He was actually a really good passer in those situations. He'd get a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
outlet assists.
I mean, what? Yeah, like, do you know the roster? Like, they were
Oh,
so
he was
good.
so good, dude. That's why I don't think he knows the roster.
Well, which year did you guys refer to for the Bulls? Let me refresh myself.
I mean, Ron Harper, Michael Jordan.
What year? 95, 96? What are you talking about?
What? Yeah, it's the 95-96 roster. They were just top to bottom. I mean, they had guys that didn't play, obviously, but you have
No,
Steve
you got Luke
Kerr,
Longley,
Tony
Scottie Pippen,
Kukoc, Luke
Dennis
Longley.
Rodman. John Sally wasn't really playing on that
He
team.
was playing actually off the bench.
They
No,
put
that's why I've said
these guys
wasn't
all
really.
these guys all played because they were killing teams. I mean, Bill Wennington got minutes, John Sally got minutes, but you're looking at you even had Judd Bushler sitting there, but you look at rotations, you've got Ron Harper, Michael Jordan, Steve Kerr, Kukoc, Longley, Pippen, and Rodman. That's who's playing, and they're going to decimate that Warriors team.
I don't think you realize how good that team was.
No, I do. I do.
The fact the key to that team though, and Mike's gonna agree with me, is
The Bull starting lineup's gonna have to play 46 minutes a game for you guys to win. But okay.
I don't agree with that actually.
Tony Kukoc was coming off the bench.
Yes, Tony Kukoc, and that's
Tony
it.
Kukoc
Steve
and
We're
Kerr.
not
Kerr was
talking about Steve Kerr. Let's not do that.
Steve Kerr
He
was
was
the
one of the
best
greatest
shooter in
shooters of
NBA
all time.
history.
I totally agree. He's not okay. What's he gonna give you off the bench? 4 or 5 points. Let's like with 6, 7 guys chasing him around. Like that's the difference, right? Is he was being guarded by a point guard that like John Stockton would have picked him up, and we just talked about this with weight versus quickness.
You're gonna have Steph Curry guarding him because who are you gonna put? You're not gonna put Steph Curry on Ron Harper.
Yeah, you probably have to put Clay on him, but Ron Harper's not exactly a scorer. What are we talking?
Clay's your best defender. You're gonna put Clay on Jordan, and he's gonna get used.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
I think the
it's gonna
Warriors team
get.
outscores them. I think the Warriors team outscores them. I'm not saying the defense isn't as good. The Bulls defense is better. The Bulls defense would definitely be better. That was never the conversation. I just think the Warriors team wins.
That's
You have
crazy.
the
I think it's
greatest
I think it's a
offensive
one. I
player.
think it's like a 120 to 111 game. I don't know.
No, I
You
don't
have
think
two
so.
of the
I don't think
best. You have three of the best defenders to ever play basketball in Rodman, Jordan, and Pippen.
Yeah, and two of the best shooters and the best scorer ever, and that's Kevin Durant. Not but Kevin Durant's the best scorer
Jordan's the
ever.
best scorer ever. Jordan's the best scorer
We're
ever.
talking
Hey man,
statistics.
I love KD's offense, but he's not the best scorer ever, man. Like you can't do that.
And Kevin Durant's not going to score because Dennis Rodman's guarding him. Dennis
Yeah.
Rodman guarded everyone from Shaq to Magic Johnson to Jordan. I mean, he's the reason that Detroit got to the finals in the Bad Boy Piston years because he guarded and pissed off Jordan. Curry would be out by the end of the first quarter because he'd be hurt from one of his layups.
Yeah.
And they would take that foul and move on.
I think after you take the ball out of Jordan's hands, it's really hard for that
You're not
team
taking
to
the ball
score
out of
because of lack of spacing, dude. They play
You're
too
not-
big and
You're
there's
not
lack of
taking the
spacing.
ball out of Jordan's hands. You're not taking the ball.
Then he has to score 80 points a game.
Oh, he doesn't.
And he would do that.
He doesn't have to.
80 points? Like I'll give you 50, Mike. I'll give you a
But I'm
guaranteed
saying
50
he's
spot
not
to
going to need to
start.
score
That's
80.
fine.
Listen, I'm going to give you an
score.
example. Mike, I got to point this out. I'm going to give you an example why I'm going to tell you they're not going to take the ball out of his hands. One of the best defensive teams all time was the Boston Celtics teams in 07 and 09. I think those were the years, right, Mike? 010, 8 and 10. Okay.
Don't say 010.
Sorry,
Give
10.
me the
Excuse me.
Pistons team. I'd
08
rather
and
have the Pistons
2010.
team either.
Those were two of the best defensive teams of all time. Okay. In the first series that they had against the Lakers, they did everything they could to get the ball out of Kobe's hands. Kobe was still able to, for the most part, score pretty efficiently against one of the best defensive teams all time. The team struggled overall with the Lakers because the Celtics were simply better, especially in the first title. Kobe is the next closest thing you could possibly get to Jordan. Jordan is better than Kobe, not by a little, but by a lot. If you think that those Celtics teams who could not stop Kobe consistently would be able to stop Jordan, you're dreaming. And those Celtic teams were way better defensively than those Warrior teams.
I think the Pistons team was a better defensive team, and they stopped Kobe by letting him shoot as much as possible. That's literally how they beat him.
Fifth leading scorer on that Bulls team, fifth leading scorer by average was Steve Kerr, averaging over 8 points a game on 52% 3-point shooting. They would just torch them.
torch them. Agree with Mike 100%. And I think the Lakers Shaq team would torch them too. I think Shaq and Kobe would absolutely destroy them. They would not have an answer.
That's exactly why I said the Shaq team does better because nobody can fucking guard Shaq. There's just nothing you could do with Shaq.
Nobody could. The only person that could guard Shaq and the only person that could guard Jordan and Kobe is Rodman and bug the shit out of them. Not necessarily stop them, but bug the shit out of them enough to piss them off and throw them off their game. And Rodman's the guy who's done it to both of them. We've seen Rodman do it to Shaq. We've seen him do it to Jordan. He would do it to anybody. So to me,
I'm
that's
gonna ask a question just on builds to more to piss Mike off than anything. Scottie Pippen had a similar build to Sean Livingston. Don't you think that'd be a fun chess match in the paint?
Did you just say Scottie Pippen was built like Scott Livingston? You know how big Scottie Pippen was?
Scottie Pippen is like really similar to
What did I say? What did I say to preface Mike? I said this one's to piss Mike off.
You're just talking nonsense. That's an April Fool's joke.
Yeah. I mean, they're both 6'7", 210. So
Scottie Pippen was 230 in his playing days.
yeah.
He got
Okay.
skinnier when he started, and he got skinnier when he got older. But in his prime, he was 230, man.
Sean Livingston was what? 192 wet.
Yeah, probably 195.
Now Iguodala's underrated on that team. Iguodala would come in and play well, but
I agree with that. Iguodala would have been the guy that would have had to guard Jordan the same way he had to guard LeBron. But like, look what LeBron did to Iguodala. Jordan would have done more.
I don't know. I think Mo Spates is going for 40, but that's a different conversation. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it there.
States versus Bill Wennington would have been the matchup, though. I'll agree with that.
Put that in a poll. Bill Wennington, Luke Longley. Luke Longley's getting buckets.
Judd Bushler's daughter is and was quite the volleyball player. As your random information for the night.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That was a great episode. Thank you guys for tonight. And Mike, how are you gonna end this?
I'm not ending this anyway. Everyone go like and subscribe. Yeah, I already said that multiple times. And
yeah,
please go comment. Let us know who you think's gonna win. Maybe
Zeke will
put up a poll.
Yeah, don't be like Kevin. Like and subscribe when you get on the show.
See, I'm like and subscribed on the Instagram. I forgot about the YouTube. I'm not on it as much. But yeah, don't be like me. Go like and subscribe before you come on the show.
Yeah, and you can subscribe in the time that he was on subscribing. That's a good time for you to subscribe.
Yeah.
Maybe Zeke will add an annotation at the end and put it like he'll put me on the screen and he'll put it. Which side do you want on? Over there. It's gonna put it right there.
I'll spend the time to do that editing.
Oh,
all right, guys. Thank you.
It's late. I'm going to bed.
All right. Have a good night.
Have a good one.